and rainy here in Indianapolis, Indiana, as the Western Boone Stars travel to Indianapolis, Washington High School in an attempt to extend their winning streak to 10 games and remain undefeated. Meanwhile, the Washington Continentals are attempting to upset the number one ranked football team in the class of 2A. I'm Kollin Brunes alongside Nathaniel Finch here to bring you the action. Western Boone comes into this game at 9-0, while Washington has a record of 3-6. The Stars are in the midst of their best start ever with an undefeated record through the regular season, which is the first time in school history that this feat has been accomplished. Western Boone, fresh off their first outright conference championship title since 2015, is coming into this game with a lot of momentum in their favor. Indy Star has this team predicted to win the entire sectional with strong possibilities of reaching the state finals. The Stars defeated their conference rival Lebanon last week, which gave them their second conference title in 4 years. They're also coming off their first sectional championship last season, which was their first since 2001.
Yeah, Colin, the Stars have outscored their opponents this year 402-59. This comes down to an average of 45-6 per game through 9 games. Western Boone is flaunting what head coach Justin Pelley believes is his best team ever assembled during his 6-year tenure with the school. Pelley achieved his 50th win as Western Boone's head coach last Friday during the game against the rival Lebanon Tigers. Last week's game was one of the most historical games for Western Boone as it marked Pelley's 50th win, the team's first conference championship since 2005, and the first undefeated season in Western Boone football history.
Well, the question is, Nathaniel, can this team carry the momentum into the playoffs to spark a deep postseason run and do what hasn't been accomplished since 1988, which was state championship? Of course, 1988 went to the state championship, won that game 14-7. Then 1998 went back to the state final with the runner-ups, and then now here they are in the midst of trying to make another run for a state title. And right now we're going to take just a short break here as the anthem will get set to play, and we'll be back after that. You're listening to high school football here on WBTV Sports.
Question. When you walk into the boardrooms of the most successful companies here in Indiana, who do you meet? Answer. Men and women who played high school sports. Education-based high school sports give us more than athletes we can root for. They give us leaders we can depend on. Question. So, where will we find tomorrow's leaders? Answer. High school sports.
This message presented by the Indiana High School Athletic Association and the Indiana Interscholastic Athletic Administrators Association.
Welcome back here to George Washington High School Springer Field. As this one, the rain is coming down heavily here, but we just got word from the announcers that the rain should be moving out of the area within the hour. And Nathaniel, please, will you talk to me about how much that changes the football game, the natural weather, and how much it can impact a heavy-hitting team like Western Boone?
Yeah, Colin, definitely. With these wet field conditions, there's a lot of people slipping, there's trips, the wet ball is obviously hard to throw and catch. And here a couple weeks ago in Frankfort, we had a wet field. It was pouring down rain during the Lebanon game this just past week, and there was so much mud on the field that by the end of the game, you couldn't read the numbers on either team's jerseys.
Well, thankfully, Western Boone came into this one wearing their nice, shiny white jerseys with the blue numbers. George Washington, of course, coming in with the purple jerseys and the white numbers. And we'll be underway here shortly. The anthem is coming up in just a moment. Meanwhile, the Western Boone players on the sideline standing there, you see. They just announced the starting lineup. So we're going to look at some of the starting lineup right here for George Washington. Coming in number 1 at cornerback and wingback. We got number 1, Damon Johnson. And number 4, wingback and cornerback as well, Clayjon Cash. And Javante Wilkins come in at tight end. He's number 10 for tonight. Darren Reese, senior, checks in number 22, the linebacker.
All right, fans, at this time, if we could have everyone please rise. Gentlemen, remove your caps as the George Washington Marching Band will play the national anthem.
Colin, yours is off. Unless did you just move it?
welcome back George Washington High School. Looking at some of the other matchups going on around the area, we have Cascade coming in 4-5, taking on Park Tudor, who was in the sectional championship last year against Western Boone. We got North Putnam 6-3 coming in against Cloverdale at 2-7. Western Boone obviously 9-0 against Indianapolis, Washington 3-6, the game we're covering. Speedway 3-6 against Tipton 8-1. Tipton, of course, played Western Boone in the second round of last year. And right now the team captains for both teams are coming out here.
Those games you just mentioned, Colin, that's the tournament bracket from Sectional 38 in the 2A class. So this is the bracket that we'll be facing here within the coming weeks.
And right now, looking at the team captains for both teams, we have number 79, Jeremy Ware, is out there. Number 32, Corey Lamb, standing there in the middle. And number 21 is in there, Darius Ford, fullback and linebacker. And number 22, Darren Reese, of course. And for Western Boone, the captains for them, I saw Patrick Schallenberger, Peyton Young, Devin Weekly, the middle linebacker. And it looks like Sam Wilkinson, the offensive lineman, is out there as well. Western Boone has won the toss. They would like to receive.
So after the coin toss, the Western Boone Stars will be receiving the opening kickoff.
They will be indeed. So Western Boone's return unit will come out onto the field against Indianapolis Washington's defense. We are ready to get this one underway here.
All right, football fans, I know it's wet and cold out there, but I got one question for you. Are you ready for some
Tees, Thompson, Longoy, Trace Barker, and family. George Washington, of course, Scott Hicks for allowing us to come up here and broadcast the game, and Andy Hoskins bringing us score updates throughout the evening. Also, thanks goes out to Western Boone administration for allowing us to do the broadcast. We appreciate your support. And here comes the Western Boone return unit. Back deep to return, number 36, Cruz Washington, and number 21, Joe Hendricks. Washington, of course, is starting running back, and Joe Hendricks starting slot receiver. Washington out to kick it away here to get this one underway in sectional play. Kicking it away, number 60, Alfonso Gonzalez. Listed in as the kicker. Got this one ready to go. Official hands him the football. We're ready to get this one started. Gonzalez takes his steps, lines it up, ready to send it away. There's the whistle, and we are just about to get underway here, and the kick is away. That was going to go to Washington, scoops it up at about the 20, reverses field position. He's going to take it down the sideline, down the far sideline, got a man to beat, shakes a tackle, and he is gone. Cruz Washington touchdown.
80-yard touchdown as Washington takes the ball to the far side, reverses field, and puts up the first touchdown of the game for Western Boone.
That is Washington's first touchdown in the last 2 weeks. He didn't score any touchdowns in the last 2 weeks against the last few opponents of the regular season right there. Strong start for Western Boone.
Washington so far in the season has had 9 rushing touchdowns, and that would be his first receiving touchdown. We had another receiving touchdown from Kernodle earlier in the year, but besides that, special teams hasn't been a whole lot for scoring.
What a way to kick off sectional 38 of round 1. And the kicker, Elliot Young. Younger brother Peyton Young out there to send it away through the upright.
Number 11, Miller, is your holder.
Right there, snap is up. And that is no good. They're going to call it no good. So the score will stand at 6-0 off the kick return from Cruz Washington. And now we'll get to see what the Stars defense has in store for the George Washington offense. And it's certainly going to be an interesting matchup. the defense of Western Boone, barely giving up 6 points per game. And back to return it, number 1, Damon Johnson. And number 6 is back to return it as well for Washington. And it looks like Peyton Young, the safety, will have this one teed up ready to kick it off. He played kicker a lot throughout his younger years. And I remember back in my sophomore season, they gave him a flat-footed shoe to kick the football. And he was one of the best punters that was on this Western Boone football team.
Number 18, Young, is a left-footed kicker, so he's kicking with his left foot, standing on the right side of the field right now.
And Young has it teed up, and he sends this one away. And right there is taken just inside the 20. It's returnable out to the outside, and right there to wrap him up, bring him down on the run back. That's Lamb who had the run back.
Tackle by number 33, Cortez Stoudemire.
Stoudemire, one of the cornerbacks for the team of Western Boone. He's played very solid on the outside. And now, number 9, quarterback Robert Holmes comes out, sends a man in motion right here. The snap and the handoff up the middle. And a nice run there by number 17, Will Lawrence, with the carry.
Tackled by number 2, Devin Weekly, and a slew of Western Boone defenders. As so far this year, we've had a lot of defensive stops from Western Boone. This team's very good at getting to the ball, swarming the ball, and getting 8 or 9 guys in on the tackle.
And right there, Weekly with his 99th tackle on the season, just 1 tackle away from 100. Here's Holmes. Same formation. Sends a man in motion again. Snap to him on the end around to the outside. That's Lamb. Gets it, and he's flung out of bounds by Devin Weekly again. So Weekly, 100 tackles on the season for him. Nice milestone reached by the senior linebacker.
Weekly so far with that second tackle today. He's had 100 total tackles, as you mentioned, 61 solo and 39 assisted tackles so far on the year.
That's good work from Weekly. He's the heartbeat of this Western Boone defense and one of the best linebackers on this team compared to Brett Wethington, the other inside linebacker. And right here is Holmes. Gets it on the end around to Johnson. Johnson's going to be swarmed in the backfield, and he's going to be brought down. It's like Cortez Stoudemire was in on the tackle, along with number 2, Devin Weekly again, and Dietz Holdorf, the first-year defensive lineman, able to get him down.
Yeah, so far on the season, Devin Weekly has 15. This would be his 16th tackle for a loss. 75 Holdorf also has his 16th on this tackle. Very proficient are these two guys in getting into the backfield and getting stops so far throughout the year for the Stars defense.
And this Stars defense, like we talked about, came into this one barely giving up 6 points per game. They started off the first half of the season only giving up 4 points a game. They shut out 5A Harrison, handed a big loss to Sheridan their first week, 50-12. And right here, the punt is away, but there is a whistle. We'll see what the call is. And a false start is called on the punt team, so that's going to set Washington back about 5 yards. They're going to retry the punt. Nathaniel, tell me, how important is it to keep the penalties at a minimum for both of these teams?
Well, penalties can be drive killers. Here earlier in the season, the Stars had a lot of touchdowns taken away, a lot of drives that were stalled because of penalties. Obviously, didn't make too much of a difference on their season as they are undefeated, but just these penalties can be killers to a team, especially in sectional play.
And right there, the punt is away, and that's taken by Peyton Young, the safety, and he's slung down by number 6 of George Washington for the tackle right at the 50-yard line of midfield. So Western Boone will set up shop in good territory. And Here comes Spencer Wright. This will be the first time he stepped on the field after the return touchdown by Cruz Washington on the opening kickoff. And looking at the starting lineup here for the defensive backs and stuff, and the offensive skill players, Spencer Wright, obviously the junior quarterback, very good quarterback for Western Boone that they've seen in recent years. Luke Kernodle, the underrated tight end, had a lot of big receptions and a lot of big touchdowns in games. Joe Hendricks, obviously the speedy receiver on the outside. And Logan Benson, battling a little bit of an injury throughout the course of the season, but he's really performed well. And it looks like we do have a penalty up here, and it's going to be a 15-yard penalty against the Stars. So instead, they're going to set up shop at the 35 of their own side of the field. Also, running back Cruz Washington, you saw there, returned the opening kickoff for the touchdown. He's a transfer from Lebanon High School. And right here, Wright flings one over the middle of the field, caught by Joe Hendricks down the sideline, tries to stiff arm a defender, and he's finally going to be caught. Big reception for Joe Hendricks. He's brought down by number 1. Damon Johnson was there to try and bring him down, and he finally got him.
Already here a big play from Western Boone. We should be seeing a lot of them tonight as we've had a lot of big plays from this Western Boone offense throughout the year.
That's a 60-yard gain for Joe Hendricks and company. Here comes Wright in the pistol formation. Snap to him. Steps up, rolls out of the pocket. Pressure coming. Looks it, throws it, complete to Logan Benson. And Benson is brought down just inside the 20-yard line. He's tackled down by number 32. That's Corey Lamb.
That's Logan's 14th reception on the year. Coming into the game, he had 13 receptions for 230 yards, good for 17.7 yards per catch, and 3 touchdowns on the year.
We're at the 15-yard line here, first and as be second down. Wright's going to throw to the corner. That's caught by Hendricks again, his second reception on the drive. And right there to set him down, Darren Reese of Washington. And Joe took a pop right there, and he's going to go down. There's going to be a timeout taken. It's an injury timeout. Joe Hendrick, Darren Reese came in to lay the hammer on him. He's going to go down. His helmet is off. Might have been gotten the wind knocked out of him just a little bit.
Last game, when the Stars traveled to Lebanon for the last game of the regular season, they defeated the Tigers 34-20, but Hendricks was the main receiving threat. He had 2 receptions for 20 yards and a touchdown. There were only 3 passes caught in that game. Because of the rain, there was a lot of running throughout the day, so Hendricks caught 67% of his team's passes with the 2 receptions and 20 yards.
Well, we've seen that kind of be a common trait with the minimal passes attempted and the minimal passes caught. There was a similar game against Tri-West Hendricks that Western Boone played. They won the game 7-0, but they only attempted 5 passes in the game, and one of them went for a touchdown, and I believe it was Joe Hendricks who caught the touchdown in that one. Correct me if I'm wrong, Finch. You've been paying a lot more attention to Western Boone this year than I have, certainly. And right here, Wright on 1st and 10, rolls out of the pocket, still looking all kinds of time. Pressure finally comes, flings into the end zone, and it falls incomplete. Johnson was there to swat it away for George Washington. That's going to set up a second down.
That pass was intended for number 15, Luke Kernodle. Kernodle's second on the team so far with receptions. Coming into the game, he had 19 receptions for 186 yards, good for 9.8 yards per catch, 20 yards per game, and 4 touchdowns.
Right here, here's Wright, handoff to Washington, up the middle, shakes another tackle, and breaks over a defender. Touchdown, Cruz Washington again. His second one of the day, and we're not even out of the first quarter yet. 8:26 to go, and Washington has another score for 6.
Yeah, on that play, Washington just ran right up the middle. As you mentioned earlier, Washington has not had a touchdown the past 2 weeks. He did have 4 touchdowns the week before that, and then 2 the game before that. So he's already had 2 touchdowns here, 1 on the ground and 1 from return.
Yeah, right here, the chip shot is good on that one. So the Stars take a 13-0 advantage here over George Washington here in Indianapolis. And looking at Cruz Washington.
Let's take a look at this replay, Kollin.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Standing out of the pistol formation, you see Wright standing a few yards back from the center. Washington just staying up right behind him. Routine right up the middle rush, and he goes to the right side. He does slip through a couple tackles, but just runs right through the end zone.
Washington is a tough runner. His older brother, Jalen Washington, was a running back for Lebanon a season ago. He's now at Marian University playing for the Knights. who've been crowned national champions here in recent years. But he broke a lot of rushing records at Lebanon, and he also played against Western Boone. Washington was only a sophomore when his brother, actually he was a junior when his brother was a senior, and his brother was rumored to have a really bad injury on his elbow, and he came in to Western Boone and their house, and he completely just ran all over the defense, and Lebanon ended up taking the game. And the final score was 32-28 after Washington led the Tigers down the field to set up a game-winning field goal.
So far on the year, Cruz Washington coming into the game, he rushed the ball 64 times. That'd be number 65. He's had 713 yards, good for 11.1 yards per carry, which is extraordinary for a running back. 11 yards every time he touched the ball. And he went for 89 yards per game, 9 touchdowns on the year. That was number 10 on the ground.
I was going to say, looking at his numbers at the end of the touchdown run, in his last game against Lebanon, he carried the ball 11 times and accounted for 41 yards. Right here's Holmes. Empty set. And there's the handoff right there. Sheds a tackle. And, a nice hit there by Devin Weekly to finish it off. Number 32, Corey Lamb with the carry again, and Weekly was there to set him down.
Number 32, Josh Benson was in the backfield. He was Holmes was able. That was number 32, was able to slip Benson's tackle.
Benson had 8.5 tackles for loss on the season. He led the team in sacks the first few weeks from his outside linebacker spot. He has 3 sacks on the season so far. He comes into this one with 53 tackles on the year. Right here, here's Holmes. Going up the line, he's going to be under center. He takes a snap, quick handoff up the middle to 17, Will Lawrence, and Lawrence is going to be stuffed by the defensive line. Connor Hull coming down from his safety position to make the tackle, and Wethington was there along with Peyton Young in the secondary.
Last game, Connor Hull had 5 tackles. 4 of them were by himself when he had help on one of his tackles. So he's been a very big contributor so far throughout the year. Last game was just one example of that.
It'll be 3rd down and 10 with just about 7:15 to go in the opening quarter of play here in Sectional 38, round 1. Holmes, a triple set backfield. Wishbone, he fumbles the football, gets it back. Ball is free, and it's recovered by Western Boone's defense. Right there, number 5, Patrick Schallenberger, also a former Lebanon Tiger, coming in to make the fumble recovery.
Yeah, it was a great play by this defense. We see this rain here in a factor again in the game, and this defense was just able to swarm the offensive line for Washington, get into the backfield, and force the turnover.
Ball be spotted right at the 21-yard line, knocking on the door of the red zone. Here comes the Western Boone offense. Last time out, a touchdown run by Cruz Washington, his 2nd of the game. Here's right in the pistol formation. He's going to throw again over the middle. That one is dropped. That was intended for number 18, Peyton Young. Young played slot receiver a little bit last season. He's mainly a safety. He's also committed to play baseball at USI, the University of Southern Indiana, the Screaming Eagles. Right here is Wright on 2nd down. Throws to the far side, caught by Benson. Benson lowers his shoulder and gets across the 10-yard line. And that's going to be a Western Boone 1st down right there. Big reception from Logan Benson.
That's enough to put the Stars in the red zone here as they're knocking on the door of the end zone. As you mentioned this last time, it was just a simple little rush right up the middle from Washington.
First down and goal inside the 10-yard line. Handoff to Washington up the middle, barreling his way forward up the right side. Washington down to the goal line.
That was the same exact play from the touchdown earlier. He was just short of the end zone, but sets up this team nicely to score.
And Western Boone once again threatening to score. Nathaniel, what do you think that George Washington's defense needs to do here to keep Western Boone out of the end zone?
They need to come and get into the backfield a lot quicker than they have throughout the game.
And right here, Washington with the carry again. He dives his way forward. Touchdown, Western Boone.
Washington with his 3rd touchdown of the game, 2 rushing touchdowns so far just in the 1st quarter.
Oh, he's having a bounce-back week here after not getting any touchdowns in the last few games. The last time we saw him score multiple touchdowns in a game was against Southmont, where he rushed for over 200 yards and 4 touchdowns. He just could not be stopped by the Mountie defense, and right here it looks like he's going to have another unstoppable night. Here's Young with the extra point attempt, and this one is good. Elliot Young missed a PAT earlier, knocks through 2.
Take a look at this replay.
In the first quarter.
And right here looking at the replay, of course. Washington to set it up. Touchdown run, got it. And right there, nice pull by Michael Rice, the left guard.
Make your way towards the scoreboard. We got hot dogs.
That was the first touchdown for Washington.
Drinks.
We're going to try to bring up
So we have warm food.
the second touchdown run by him. Yeah, here it is. Yeah, right here inside the 5-yard line, team set, pistol formation. Washington, handoff on the left side, and he just barreled his way forward, and linebackers of George Washington just weren't able to fill the gap quick enough, and Washington using his speed to get into the end zone.
Yeah, a bit shifty there as he was on the goal line. He was able to get skinny and just run right off the tackle into the end zone.
And right here, Peyton Young has it teed up right for the kickoff at the 40-yard line, resting in the middle of the field. Western Boone already leading 20-0. 5:47 to go in the first quarter, and out of bounds right there, chasing at number 25, DeMonte Lamb, and it's going to be 1st and 10 for the Continentals. Just right at about the 30-yard line. They're going to mark it at about the 35.
Obviously, with the wet football, it's not very ideal conditions to kick the ball, but each team has been able to manage so far to the point in the game. Score 20-0 Western Boone.
And Holmes will come out yet again. He hasn't attempted a pass yet. He fumbled the football last time out off a mishandled snap. Here they're going to go an awkward formation. Man in motion. Oh, and another bad snap. And they jump on it, and it's going to go for a big loss. Damon Johnson was able to jump onto it, but that's going to result in a big loss for Washington. That's a 15-yard loss, and that's going to be 2nd down.
Coming up for the Continentals.
2nd down and 25 for George Washington. Another bad snap. That's 2 bad snaps in a row. Last one resulted in a fumble recovered by Patrick Schallenberger of Western Boone. And this one, thankfully, Washington was able to jump on it. But see what they decide to do here on 2nd and 25. Here's Holmes. Under center, sends a man motion. That's Johnson who gets it on the outside to the end around. And he's slowing down. There's a penalty flag that flies in, making the tackle. It's number 51, Caleb Freeman. Came down the defensive line and set him down.
Freeman so far in the year has had 18 tackles coming into the game. That'd be number 19 for him. 10 solo and 8 assisted tackles with a sack.
They're going to call a false start against the Continentals. That's going to back them up 5 yards. So what was 2nd and 25, looks like it's going to be 2nd and 30. Replay of down. And Nathaniel Lee's condition is certainly not ideal to play in. It's cold, it's wet, and they're actually going to wave off the flag. So no flag on the play. It'll still be, we'll actually change it to 3rd down.
It's going to bring up 3rd down. 3rd and 25 for the Continentals.
Here's Holmes under center. He gets the snap right here, drops back to the pass, pressure coming, and he's going to be slung down in the backfield.
Number 75, Dietz Holdorf with a sack, his 4th of the season. He's got 4.5 to date through 10 games.
He came into this season a first-year starter, also a first-year player, the senior. Hasn't played football in quite a while. He didn't play any throughout his high school career, and he comes in, and now he is leading the Western Boone team in sacks with 4.5. And congratulations to Dietz Holdorf right there to get him down. Dietz was a swimmer, and certainly those swim moves will be helpful in getting past the offensive line. And it looks like 4th down, they're going to punt here. Number 34, Back to punt.
Bad snap in the end zone.
Oh, and it's a bad snap.
There's
It's
a
going to go out
safety.
of the back of the end zone. Safety.
And after the high snap, it's going to be a safety.
So Western Boone scores 2.
So a safety for the Stars.
And they take a 22-0 lead. 3:49 to go in the first quarter.
Yeah, earlier in the game, Kollin, we missed Elliott Young, number 34, the freshman, missed an extra point. These 2 points will definitely help with that. Evens the score now at 22, as you mentioned.
Yeah, the bad snaps right here just eating George Washington alive. And that's unfortunate when you can't get the snap off, try to make a play. They tried their first pass attempt, and it went for a sack. And then a safety off a bad snap. They start off the drive with a bad snap, too.
Yeah, you can see mud right in the middle of the field, so it's not all of the center's fault as to why these snaps are going high and low. It's just a lot of these bad conditions so far on the day.
Well, credit to the Western Boone defense. Looking at their defensive numbers, they had 109 tackles for loss coming into this one with 22 sacks. That's their 23rd sack as a defense on the season.
Delta leading Lebanon 7-0.
And Delta, we just got a score update. Delta is on top of Lebanon 7-0. Good action right there between Lebanon and Delta. Lebanon, of course, could have thwarted Western Boone's chances at a conference title, but Western Boone pulled out the 34-20 win over the Tigers at their home field.
Right now, Triton Central is leading Milan 14-7. They are in the sectional adjacent to Western Boone.
And Alfonso Gonzalez has it teed up, ready to kick it off. And it's marked, ready to send it away at the 20-yard line. This one's going to take a drop inside the 50, and getting out of bounds is Peyton Young.
Says team up right on the 50-yard line, midfield for Western Boone. 1st and 10.
It'll be 1st and 10 for the Stars coming up.
Alrighty, 1st and 10 for Western Boone and their high-powered offense. Let's see what they do on this drive here. They went to Washington the last few times. Joe Hendricks has been out since then. He got popped a couple drives ago. We haven't seen much of him, but Washington has certainly made up for the loss. Joe Hendricks, the leading receiver for Western Boone. He played a little bit last season. His reception numbers were higher last season, but this year his reception numbers are down, but his yards and touchdowns are going on the upper column right here, right with the snap. He flings it, and that one's caught by Noah McClendon, number 87, and that's a 1st down for Western Boone inside the 40.
That's McClendon's 10th reception on the season. Before that game, he had 137 yards and no touchdowns. Hendricks, however, has accounted for almost half of Western Boone's receiving. Coming into the game, he had 535 yards out of the 1,200 total.
Here's Wright. Off the fling pass, caught again by Noah McClendon, big number 87. Playing the role of Gronkowski to the Patriots. Gets out of bounds for another Western Boone 1st down. They've gone to him twice on this drive, and he's picked up 2 first downs.
Yeah, he's only averaged 1 reception per game, and here he's already got 2 tonight.
He's over.
On the field, calls on the Continentals.
There's a timeout taken by the Continentals, and looking at Noah McClendon's numbers, he just had a few receptions on the season for 187 yards total. And right there, certainly, that's helping his receiving numbers get over the 200-yard mark.
Yeah, so far McClendon's averaged 15.2 yards per catch. He's had only about 20 yards per game, and he's already surpassed that with those 2 receptions. Still looking for his first touchdown of the night here is Western Boone's near the end zone at about the 23-yard line.
And the Continentals decided to take their first time out. They've been getting driven on by Western Boone pretty heavily. Nathaniel, what do you think they need to do to try and slow down some of the momentum the Stars have right now?
They need to prevent these big plays from happening. We've already seen a lot of big plays from Western Boone as we have throughout the year. So playing more soft on the deep passes is not a very good idea. They should be more, they shouldn't be as susceptible to this deep passing.
1st and 10. Here's Wright, handoff to Dylan Brown. Brown breaking away for a 1st down run right there. Dylan Brown, the backup running back, Cruz Washington.
After the 13-yard run.
That's a big run by Dylan Brown. 15 yards on the play. It'll be a first down.
Usually what we've seen throughout these games from Western Boone is Washington comes in and starts, then next running back you see is number 16, Wellington, and then 20 comes in afterwards. Here he's just his second running back in.
And right here, Brown again with the carry, getting inside the 5-yard line. And he's going to be marked down right at the 5.
Todd Williams in on the tackle along with Will Lawrence.
And right there, Williams with the tackle to bring him down. Brown with a lot of heavy running here. He's very good at protecting the football. Hasn't had a lot of fumbles on the season.
Hasn't had any so far.
And right here, once again, handoff to Brown. Brown barreling his way forward, spins away, and it's a touchdown, Western Boone. Dylan Brown, his first rushing touchdown of the night. All right, 2 players for Western Boone scoring touchdowns. They take a 28-0 lead.
That's his first of the night and the 6th on the season, rushing from number 20, Dylan Brown, the senior.
And with 2 minutes and 17 seconds to go in the first quarter, Western Boone dominating this one so far here. Elliott Young out to kick the PAT. It's fielded nicely. The kick is up, and it is good. Western Boone, a 29-0 advantage over George Washington. So far, this one's getting pretty ugly. And here's the replay here. Right at the 5-yard line, Dylan Brown in that pistol formation, the same as Cruz Washington. And looking up front at the offensive line, they really set the tone. They get the down blocks. Max Johnson gets up to the 2nd level. And right there, Brown spins off a couple of defenders, and he gets in, touchdown.
He's actually grabbed by number 1, Johnson, for Washington, and he spins him around, and Brown just falls right into the end zone for 6 points.
And Peyton Young once again ready to kick this one away. Back to receive it, Damon Johnson for the Continentals. Hendricks is over on the sidelines with his helmet on. Looks like he'll probably be back in this game in a little bit, but if things continue to get out of hand, it might be the JV unit. Time to shine for them to come into this football game.
I wouldn't expect it this early, but we probably will see him if it gets too out of hand towards the 3rd or 4th quarter.
And that kick flies out of bounds. Flag will be coming in right inside the 20.
And that's another kick out of bounds.
So the Continentals will take over 1st and 10 in their own territory. And last time out, their punt went into the end zone for a touchback. And just bad snaps have been the story so far for them. They've had a few good rushing plays tonight up front, but they just can't seem to get anything going up the middle, and especially between the quarterback and the center. And I know it's a lot of muddy conditions out there, but you got to get the snap off.
Yeah, and that botched punt did go for a safety. 2 points put on the board for Western Boone. I know, Kollin, you did say touchback.
I just changed it too.
And right here, Holmes under center. Gets it, and it's his first pass attempt. It's complete to Johnson. Johnson gets upended by, looks like number 8 right there of the defense. And that's Luke Marsh.
He was aided by number 2, the rock for Western Boone, Devin Weekly.
Luke Marsh, his older brother, was a middle linebacker for Western Boone in the 2015 conference championship team. Won conference outright for the first time in a long time. They were defeated in the sectional by West Lafayette. West Lafayette now has the number 1 recruit in the state going to Purdue. Here's Holmes, empty backfield for him. 3 receivers split out to the right side of him, 2 to the left. Holmes gets the snap. He drops back. Pass pressure coming quickly. Gets rid of it as he's drilled, and that's going to fall incomplete. Intended for number 32, Corey Lamb.
Number 32 and number 75.
Josh Benson with the pressure up front.
For the Continentals.
Lebanon and Delta, I know we gave an update earlier. They're now tied at 7 points with less than a minute left in the first quarter.
Lebanon was a tough opponent for the Stars. It's always a tough battle between rivals.
Lebanon's 20 points were the most scored against this Western Boone defense so far throughout the year.
Once again, empties. Looks like they're going to go single back formation here. Man in motion for Washington. Short snap. That one's taken, and Holmes is going to be wrapped up in the backfield. That's going to probably go down as a sack. Michael Rice was back there to put the pressure on him.
That was number 2 Weekly, I believe, who had gotten the sack. That'd be his 4th credited sack so far on the year.
And the clock is still rolling here, just under 1:20 to go in the first quarter. Western Boone on top 29-0. And so far, George Washington, nothing seems to be going right for them.
Some confusion on the offensive line right now. Number 84 now is stepping onto the field for Washington.
And 34 back to punt here. Kollin Brunes. Get the snap off, and right here, that one's nearly blocked. It gets in the air, and it takes a nice bounce right at the 20 and down at the 20-yard line. Western Boone will set up shop right at the 20, 1st and 10. Nice punt for 50 yards. Good credit to Blinks right there to get it away.
50 yards is much better than the negative 20 that it got last punt as it went out for the safety. Now the Stars will be set up on their own 20-yard line, 80 yards ahead of them.
Thanks for looking out for me when I said touchback, by the way. Here comes Spencer Wright and company. Dylan Brown is in the backfield. Cruz Washington, after scoring 3 touchdowns tonight, on the sideline. Right here, Wright with the snap. Flings it out, and that one's incomplete. Intended for Joe Hendricks, who went out earlier with an injury. And he's back, and right there, drop pass will bring up 2nd down.
There on that play on the right side was number 15, Lucas Kernodle. He was wide open on that play deep downfield. It didn't appear that there was anyone guarding him when he was on the line of scrimmage, and sure enough, he had very soft coverage from the safety. He could have had a big gain if it was thrown his way.
George Washington goes 3 down linemen. They bring an outside linebacker right there to the left side. And right here, nice run from Dylan Brown. Gets to the outside. Finally brought down by Damon Johnson. And 7-yard gain for Dylan Brown. It's going to bring up 3rd down and 3. I believe that's the first time Western Boone has faced a 3rd down. And right here, 15 seconds rolling off the clock here in the first quarter. And whistles come in to blow the play dead.
And that's going to be a timeout on the field.
And a timeout is taken.
In this first quarter. Timeout called by the Continentals.
And the Continentals use another timeout here.
They only have 1 left here, ready for the second quarter. They've already used 2 in the first quarter, not very good.
There's 3 seconds left in the first quarter. Not sure what you'd want to use the timeout for. Probably would try to like to save those for later, but I'm not the head coach, so I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah, the clock would have stopped anyway at the end of the quarter, but nevertheless, they take the timeout with just 3 seconds left on the board.
Well, the Western Boone faithful is out here. George Washington making the trip. Western Boone has been one of those schools that's notorious for having a great traveling crowd. And it certainly is right. Western Boone does travel well, so thank you, fans, for coming out here and supporting your high school football team, especially in these conditions. And right here, 3rd down and 3. Right. Pistol formation. Drops back for the snap. He flings it deep, intended for 87. Noah McClendon, who makes the catch. Right at the 45-yard line, Noah McClendon with a big reception.
Yeah, double covered there by number 1 Johnson and number 27 Price. That was the area of the field that I mentioned Kernodle was wide open in earlier.
Well, they just ran the vertical routes, and right there McClendon was able to go up and make the snag. And that's the end of the first quarter of play. Western Boone on top, 29-0. We're going to take a short break here, and we'll be back with more after this. You're listening to Western Boone Football here on WBTV Sports.
The debate about sports specialization by high school athletes continues. Some argue that high school athletes who play one sport all year long have a better chance of landing a lucrative pro contract. But that's simply not true. In fact, 30 of the 32 first-round picks in last year's NFL draft played more than one sport in high school. Of the 32 players drafted, 22 also participated in high school track and field. 19 also played basketball. Some also played baseball and lacrosse. What's the path to success for high school athletes here in Indiana, no matter what their goals might be? Study hard, always do your best, and if you can, play more than one sport in high school. This message presented by the Indiana High School Athletic Association and the Indiana Interscholastic Athletic Administrators Association.
And welcome back here to George Washington High School, Springer Field. Looking at some of the stats here, first score of the game came off of Cruz Washington with the touchdown return for 80 yards. And then Cruz Washington again from 8 yards out, touchdown run. The extra point on the first touchdown was no good by Elliott Young, but he came back, made the second one. And then right here, we're going to take a short break from the stats just to give you this play here. Second down, and here's right to throw. Oh, McClendon nearly had it off the hands of the face mask. And that's going to bring up third down and 1.
That's McClendon's fourth target of the game. He only had 9 receptions coming into it, and he already has 4 targets so far today.
Looking at some of the other scores, the Continentals lined up for a punt. There was a safety on the play. And then Dylan Brown, 5 yards out, touchdown run by him. Extra point was good from Elliott Young. And right here, right in the pistol formation with Brown in his backfield, he's got 2 receivers split out to the right side and to the left. Joe Hendricks in the slot there on the left side of your screen. And right back to throw. Launches it deep downfield, and it is caught. Touchdown! Logan Benson. What a catch and what a play. 1-on-1. Logan Benson goes up, and he pulls in 6.
Benson had 3 touchdowns coming into the game. Here's another one for him. 34 yards out for the score.
Just caught it right in the breadbasket. Logan Benson, he had one-on-one coverage with Damon Johnson. A great play by Benson to set up the score. And to get this one started, the second quarter to start it off, 11 minutes on the clock. Benson hauls in a touchdown catch.
Here's the extra point attempt. Young.
And that extra point attempt is good. Looking at the receiving, Logan Benson, 13 receptions for 230 yards. That's his 4th touchdown on the year. He averages 17 yards per reception, 28 yards per game. His longest reception was 54 yards.
Yeah, that one came from 34 out. Let's take a look at this replay.
We're going to try to get it keyed up again here. Just a little bit of a technical difficulty. Right, here we go.
Here we go.
And right here, Wright had a clean pocket the whole time. He's had a clean pocket the whole night. The Western Boone offensive line up front holding strong, and he just catapults this one into the air. And right there, Benson with the breadbasket catch dropped it right in.
That was number 4 cash in on the defensive side of the ball. Was not able to stop the reception, the touchdown reception from happening.
Yeah, see, I said Johnson earlier, the 1 and the 4 got me a little bit, but nevertheless, touchdown for Logan Benson, 36-0 score here. Western Boone on top, big in the first half.
We better be careful, Kollin. We get too much more rain, and we won't be able to see their numbers at all, like at the end of last week's game.
Well, it looks like the rain has cleared up here at George Washington, and as the announcer said, he was right. The rain should have been out of here about an hour into it, and yeah, clean. Very clean skies right here right now, but still a very dirty field. You can see the mud starting to show up on the white jerseys of Western Boone. Peyton Young ready to kick this one away at the 40-yard line. Squibs this one down to about the 20-yard line, and on the return, nice return there by George Washington to set it up. Number 6 on the return for Washington to set up a first down.
So the winner of this game will face the winner of Tipton versus Speedway. Right now, Tipton's ahead 27-7 in the second quarter on Speedway.
Tipton has a very tough quarterback. Western Boone had their hands full with them last season in that second round of sectionals. They won the game on a walk-off touchdown to Peyton Young. And right here, Holmes takes a snap. He throws it out of the backfield. That's incomplete. It's intended for number 32, Corey Lamb.
You got to be careful. That was almost a backwards pass, and an incomplete backwards pass results in a fumble.
I was in the press box and watching Ray scramble, and I'm going, who in the heck is it? Oh my God, there's no one around him.
That's going to bring up second down, and Washington just hasn't been able to get anything moving for them so far. They haven't gained any momentum throughout this game. It's been tough for George Washington. And right here, second down and 10. Ball's on the 35-yard line. And here's the snap, the sweep on the outside. And this one's corralled immediately right there. Clayjon Cash with the carry. And that's a loss of 1 on the play. Josh Benson was there from his outside linebacker spot, and Andrew McAtee, the transfer from Manchester High School, was there to make the stop.
In the higher part of this tournament bracket, sectional 38, Cascade is facing Park Tudor. Cascade comes into the game 4-5. Park Tudor's winless through 8 games, and Cascade is up already 21-0 on Park Tudor in the second quarter. Thank you, Andy Hoskins, for that scoring update.
Yeah, once again, thanks, Andy. The scoring update. And right here, Holmes in the backfield. Cash in motion to the outside. He's going to throw. Pocket collapses. Schellenberger is there to sling him down for a sack. Schellenberger, who had the fumble recovery earlier, gets in the backfield for a sack. That's his first of the night.
Third of the season so far. He's also had 9 tackles for a loss coming into the game. And last week, he did have 1 tackle for a loss to Schellenberger. He had 8 total tackles, 4 solo and 4 assisted.
That was a good job by Schellenberger. Schellenberger was a transfer from Lebanon High School a few years back. He's grown to love this Western Boone football team and his Western Boone family. He says a lot of the guys accepted him like a brother when he came over from Lebanon, and he's made a lot of friends here, and he definitely has a lot of school spirit. And I know he is definitely hungry for that state championship title. It's been so elusive for this Western Boone football team over recent years.
Timeout on the field.
And a timeout taken by the Continentals. That's their final timeout of the half. And looking at some of the notes here over George Washington High School, George McGinnis was a high school player of George Washington. And referring to football, they were state champions in 1974 and undefeated in 1959. They won a perfect 10-0, but they are not recognized for some unknown reason. And the 1966 team also won state. Steve Downey is a member of the Boston Celtics, played here. Darren Fitzgerald, member of Butler. And Cheryl Cook, who was Mrs. Basketball in 1981, went to Cincinnati and was an All-American basketball player. So there's definitely been a lot of talent coming through George Washington High School throughout the 50s and 60s. And Western Boone really hasn't had a ton of notable alumni from their school. And back to punt it, number 34, Kellen Blinks. Blinks, high snap over his head. He gets rid of it. That was a good recovery by Blinks to get rid of it. This one takes a bounce inside the 50, and it's going to be set down right at the 47-yard line. Good punt from Blinks.
It was a very impressive recovery there, as the fumbled snap, and he was about to get smeared by this defensive front, and instead he's able to just barely get the kickoff for a nice kick. Punt here sets up Western Boone 1st and 10.
And right here comes Western Boone's offense. They've been firing on all cylinders in this one. Big touchdown runs from Dylan Brown and Cruz Washington. We haven't seen any action from Washington. It looks like he's going to stay on the sideline and remain healthy for this one. No risk of injury for him. And here's Brown on the carry to the outside of the right. Cuts back up the middle of the field. He has a hole. Trying to split the defenders. He goes down, tackled by Corey Lamb. And Dylan Brown with a big first down run.
As he's taken down at the 25-yard line.
All the way down to the 25-yard line.
That's
a 29-yard gain for Dylan Brown.
Yeah, he was able to just turn on the Jets run right up the middle of this defense for a huge gain. I'm surprised so far we haven't seen number 16 Wethington, the junior running back, yet in this game.
And here out of the pistol formation, right with Brown in his backfield, he gets the call again, trying to break up the left side. And he's slung down from behind by the George Washington front seven. And that's Lawrence on the tackle. That's a 6-yard gain there for Dylan Brown. Another big run for him.
So it's going to be 2nd and 4.
Second down and 4 for Western Boone.
This team set up right now in the red zone at the 20-yard line, looking to put some more points up on the board. Right now they lead by 36 points. Under 6 minutes and 30 seconds left in the first half.
Out of the pistol formation, 2nd down and 4. Right, fires one complete. Nice reception there by Logan Benson, who caught a touchdown pass earlier from 34 yards out. Right there he gets Western Boone right down to the 2-yard line. Tackled by Damon Johnson, who was on the coverage.
As I mentioned earlier, Joe Hendricks, number 21, had 2 receptions for 20 yards in last week's game. The third reception of the team went to Logan Benson, who just had a little 5-yard gain. So far on the year, he's coming into the game, he's had 13 receptions. That total's up now that we're halfway through it. 230 yards, 17 yards per catch, and just under 30 yards per game with 3 touchdowns. He's had 4 because of the one tonight. Handoff right up the middle. Not enough for a touchdown.
And right there, Brown with the carry. Tackled down by number 20 of George Washington. That's going to bring up 2nd down and goal.
21 Darius Ford was also in on the stop here at the goal line. 5 minutes left in the first half as the team's still out in the huddle.
And I'm going to bet that they're going to hand the ball off here to Brown again to give him a 2nd touchdown of the night. They're knocking on the door of the end zone. And right here.
Watch the handoff to the right side.
Right here they go. And Brown into the end zone, touchdown right up the middle. That's 6 more points for Dylan Brown. That's the 2nd touchdown of the night.
So 2 touchdowns so far for Washington, 2 for Brown right now, as this team is up 42-0.
Well, this one has certainly gotten out of hand, and George Washington doesn't look like they're going to show any more initiative to try and get back in this one. This one is just really just a big hole for them. Their defense has been on the field quite a bit. Their offense just hasn't been able to get anything going. Right here, the extra point is up, and it's good.
And the extra point is good.
So Elliot Young there hasn't missed a PAT since. He missed the first PAT right here. Looking at the replay, the offensive line gets set. Big offensive line. The guards are the key to this play. Right there at the right guard, Sam Wilkinson. He gets right there, gets to the linebacker to plug it, and Brown runs right in between him. He gets 6.
Yeah, number 54, the center, Casey Foster, also had a big block there at the goal line.
Casey Foster, one of the better offensive linemen on the team. He's been center for quite some time now. And Sam Wilkinson used to be the center, had some snapping issues throughout his high school career, converted over to right guard, and it's paid off very well. And Casey Foster was a natural snapper coming into his varsity career. He's been the starting center ever since. And lining up to kick this one away. It doesn't look like Doesn't look like Peyton Young's out there to kick it.
Mitchell
And
and
Dominique Mitchell sends it away. And right there inside the 20, this one's returned by Johnson. Johnson is finally slung down at the 40-yard line. And right there with the tackle, number 35 of Western Boone, that is Jaden Bailey. Good tackle by Bailey to save the run. And minimal damage, and it looks like here comes the JV defense out on the field. Dylan Brown is in there at linebacker, and also Luke Marsh, who's also a varsity starter, is in there. But Connor Garrity is in at the outside linebacker spot, one of the better JV players. He's a very good defensively. He's a key defensive player for this JV unit. And right here, outside handoff, and trying to get into the backfield to make the stop. Nice slip tackle there by Corey Lamb, and Lamb goes down. Positive gain for him. It's a gain of about 5 yards. It'll be second down and 5.
yeah, the cornerback number 8, Marsh, was the guy in the backfield trying to get the stop. Just slips right out of his hands as he gets stopped by other Western Boone defenders.
And I just heard that is only Washington's 4th positive play and their longest gain of the night. That speaks volumes as to how talented this Western Boone front is. Here's Holmes on second down and 5. Man in motion, high snap again. Holmes is going to try to chase it down. He gets on top of it, and this one is going to go for a really big loss.
Hall with the recovery after the fumble.
So following their biggest gain, just their 4th positive play, they have another long negative play here. We'll set up 3rd and long.
Just seems like they take 1 step forward and 4 steps back. It's just a really tough time, and it must be tough for your defense as your offense not able to get any positive yardage. And it looked like they had a little bit of a spark of hope with after that 1 gain for 5 yards, and now they get set back even longer. This one's set back at the 30-yard line. And it'll be 3rd down. Western Boone on top 43-0. Wishbone formation here. Holmes. And the handoff to, looks like Johnson. And it is Johnson who got the call.
And he's brought down in the background.
Short play.
Number 67, Tyler Latham, the JV player, freshman, in on the tackle.
Also up front there at the nose, number 62, Andrew Kopic. His brother was also an inside linebacker for this Western Boone team. He's a member of that conference championship team in 2015.
So Western Boone today, this whole week they've been on fall break. If we have anyone who's watching from an out-of-state location, leave it in the comments.
And right here, this one goes down inside the 40-yard line. This one's returnable. And down the sideline, Mitch Miller with a nice return for him. Gets out of bounds across the 40.
At the 33-yard line.
Going to mark it right at the
It's going to be 1st and 10.
right at the 43.
With just under 2 minutes remaining in this half.
Just under 2 minutes to go here in the second quarter. Stars on top 43-0. A blowout here so far at George Washington in Springer Field.
A win here tonight for Western Boone to likely place them at home next week. Right now, Tipton's up on Speedway, so that could be a matchup to watch here for the rest of the game.
And Western Boone came into this season ranked 7th overall after winning the conference championship. Robbie Taylor right there with a carry for them.
Number 6, and on the stop.
And going back to what I was saying, they came in number 7th into the season, moved up to 5th after week 1, after they defeated Sheridan 50-12. Then they defeated 5A Lafayette Harrison 26-0 to move up to the 2nd spot behind Cecina, and moved up to the number 1 spot after week 5 in a win against North Montgomery, where the Stars handed the Chargers a 60-14 loss. They've remained at the top spot in the rankings up to this point.
Quick update from what I said earlier. Tipton is leading Speedway 34-7, so that game's not looking a whole lot better than this one here tonight.
Robbie Taylor barrels over for just a couple yards. Like 21 was there on the tackle, Darius Ford. They're chopping down. It's going to be 3rd down. I believe this is Western Boone's third down of the night that they've faced. Elliot Young, the kicker, in there at quarterback. His older brother Peyton Young played quarterback in his younger days. And the handoff to Taylor. Taylor stuffed in the backfield by the George Washington defense. It's a loss of 2 yards on the play. Nice tackle by 32, Corey Lamb.
Lamb, the senior, has made a lot of plays so far for Washington so far tonight. With under 30 seconds left in the game, that'll likely bring the half. Thank you. That'll likely bring the half to a close here on 4th down.
And just under 15 seconds to go here. And the JV unit's going to look to the sideline. They're going to walk off to the sideline, and that is going to end the first half here. Western Boone dominating this one so far, 43-0. Nice touchdowns from Dylan Brown, who has a pair of touchdowns, too. And Cruz Washington, who has 3 touchdowns. Logan Benson with a single touchdown for him. Check out some of these stats. Nathaniel, what can you tell us?
Well, I know you already went through some of the touchdowns from earlier, but we know that number 13, Logan Benson, had a 34-yard touchdown. The deep pass heaved up high in the air, brought down for 6 points. Number 20, Dylan Brown, also had a 1-yard run for a touchdown to the left side of the defense. So far, Western Boone has 275 yards of total offense. George Washington has negative 29 yards of total offense on 15 plays for George Washington. Western Boone also has 26 total plays. They are averaging 10.6 yards per play. Washington with negative 2 yards per play so far tonight. Passing yards so far, negative 9 passing yards for Washington. 167 for Spencer Wright and this Stars team. He's 9 for 13 on the night, 18.6 yards per pass, and a touchdown with no interceptions. Rushing so far, we have 13 rushing attempts, so even rushing and passing so far on the night, 13 rushing attempts, 8.3 yards per rush, 108 rushing yards so far.
All right,
one penalty for 15 yards on Western Boone. No other penalties so far throughout the night that have been accepted.
All right. Well, thank you, Nathaniel. And looking at some of our viewership, we have some people watching from Southern Kentucky, one from Las Vegas, San Francisco, California. Thanks for checking in. And we have a lot of people all over the place up from Florida as well. So we have Destin, Florida, and Gulf Shores, Alabama, and Santa Clara, California. Thank you for checking in to this Western Boone football broadcast. We're going to bring it back here with a little bit more after the halftime is over. Thank you for listening to Western Boone football here on WBTV Sports.
The debate about sports specialization by high school athletes continues. Some argue that high school athletes who play one sport all year long have a better chance of landing a lucrative pro contract. But that's simply not true. In fact, 30 of the 32 first-round picks in last year's NFL draft played more than one sport in high school. Of the 32 players drafted, 22 also participated in high school track and field. 19 also played basketball. Some also played baseball and lacrosse. What's the path to success for high school athletes here in Indiana, no matter what their goals might be? Study hard, always do your best, and if you can, play more than one sport in high school. This message presented by the Indiana High School Athletic Association and the Indiana Interscholastic Athletic Administrators Association.
And welcome back here to Washington High School. And the Western Boone Stars are ready to kick it off. George Washington down 43-0 at the half. And Dominique Mitchell ready to kick it off for the Stars. Stars received the opening kickoff of the game, which was returned by Cruz Washington for a touchdown. And Mitchell ready to kick this one away from the 40. Squibs this one near the sideline, and it goes out of bounds at about the 31-yard line.
That's the third kick for Western Boone that's traveled out of bounds, set the ball on the 35-yard line, as you mentioned.
Now, Nathaniel, I see you're enjoying those gloves there.
Well, at least we're not up on the top of the press box like our radio TV instructor, Matt Foxworthy, up there in the cold and the wind. I'm glad that we're down here in the press box.
Yeah, no offense, Foxworthy, but me too. All right, so this one's going to be set up at the 35-yard line for Holmes and Company for George Washington. 11:50 to go in the third quarter. Ready to get second half action underway. And Holmes under center. Man in motion, he takes the snap, and that's the handoff to the outside for Lamb. And Lamb goes back inside, and he's going to be wrestled down. Like Luke Marsh was there to make the tackle.
Yeah, Marsh coming into the game has had 47 tackles, 29 solo and 18 assisted so far with 5.5 tackles for a loss. Nice contributor for the Stars defense. Marsh last game had 5 tackles, 3 solo and 2 assisted.
And Western Boone has a fumble recovery tonight on defense. That's our 15th fumble recovery of the season, and also 15th forced fumble. They have 1 fumble return for a touchdown by Dietz Holder. Right here, another fumble, and it looks like Western Boone might have jumped on it.
Number 52. Is that 62?
Yeah,
62.
Andrew Kopic. And Western Boone, another fumble recovery for them tonight. They're 17th on the season. Actually, 16th on the season, excuse me. Nevertheless, still an impressive number.
Now to start the second half, we'll have most of these JV players in on offense for Western Boone. They were brought in about 3/4 of the way through the second quarter. Earliest we've seen the JV players in a varsity game this year for Western Boone.
Here comes Elliott Young, filling in for Blake Culley, who hurt his leg in JV game earlier, and right there the run goes for a loss. Number 30 with the carry right there, that's Caleb Iron. Very good JV running back. And the JV went, I believe, 8-1 in one conference outright as well, like the Varsity brothers. And also the 8th grade won conference as well. So it's been a very good year so far. It's been a very good year so far for all these Western Boone football teams. And of course, the 8th grade only lost to Zionsville. Their one loss on the season. And right here, the snap. And Elliott Young with the keeper. Elliott gets to the inside, cuts back to the outside, and he's going to go down. And a big gain there for Elliott Young. Nice quarterback keeper for him to the outside.
Now, a few weeks into the season, Kollin Western Boone defeated Crawfordsville 69-0, and Crawfordsville didn't have enough numbers for a JV team, so that caused Western Boone to play Pioneer the next day in the JV game. Pioneer, the number 1 ranked 1A school in Varsity. That was their only loss on the season as JV team finished 8-1.
Yeah, Pioneer had a strong rushing attack in that game. We were both there to witness that one. And right here, Young with the snap and the handoff to Iron. Iron goes to the outside to the right, barrels over a couple defenders and goes down. And he's going to pick up the Western Boone first down.
It looks like running back got enough for a first down.
Some big contributors so far for this JV team. Keep an eye on number 30, Iron, who you just saw. Number 22, Baird. Number 11, Miller. They've been able to put up a lot of yards and points here in their JV games. Number 85, as you mentioned earlier, Connor Garrity was also a big contributor so far on the year.
It was 32-0, 6 minutes in.
Elliott Young right here in the pistol formation. Iron right behind him. Handoff to Iron up the middle. He's going to be stuffed by the defensive line, collapsing down to get him. That's big, number 64. That's Jeremy Hall, the senior, able to get in the backfield and bring him down.
Yeah, Taven Taylor, the senior, also number 42 in on the tackle, and number 63, Todd Williams, the junior.
And Spencer Wright, he's approaching the 50 touchdown mark for his career. He was sitting at 46 coming into this game. He threw for 1 touchdown tonight, so he's only 3 touchdowns away from reaching that 50 mark. Here's Young in the pistol. And he's going to give it to Iron. Iron escapes the pressure in the backfield. He might get 1 yard back on that play. Maybe not. Actually, it looks like it's going to be a loss, and it's going to be 3rd down.
Coming up for the Stars.
Yeah, so you said Wright's close to that 50 mark in touchdown passes. As we mentioned earlier, Coach Justin Pele hit his 50th win last week. This win tonight will bring him to 51.
And Wright, a little bit more information about him. He came in his freshman year with a lot of potential and a good throwing arm. He led his JV team to an 8-1 record during his freshman year and then was promoted to varsity in the final week of the regular season in 2016, where he came in during the 4th quarter against Lebanon in a loss. He replaced quarterback Jack Gillum, who converted to slot receiver and is now at DePaul University. And right here, Elliott Young on the run, flinging it towards the end zone. It's incomplete. And we have a penalty flag on the play. And it might be a legal receiver down the field.
Ineligible receiver downfield penalty.
And it is. Dominique Mitchell was actually called for one of those penalties against Crawfordsville when the play broke down and he got forward. He was called back. He had scored a touchdown on the play, but unfortunately for the big fellow, it was taken off. And looking a little bit more about Wright, he set the record for passing yards in his sophomore season, over 2,000 yards. And he has just been on a tear ever since he came in to start. He started all games last season. He won the first round of sectionals in 2A. And then In 3A, actually, they were defeated by West Lafayette.
Going for it on 4th down here.
And right here, Young pumps, fires the end zone. Oh, and it's
Foot
going
out
to
of
be
bounds.
incomplete.
But he was out of bounds.
Oh, man, the intended target, number 32.
That's 22, Casey Baird. 22,
22.
the intended receiver.
22, Casey Baird. Casey Baird's been a very good receiver for this JV unit in the slot. He's a short player, but he really can make those big catches.
Number 20, Brown, the varsity player, is still in with the JV right now. He's standing in a running back.
Linebacker.
That's all right, Nathaniel. We all. And right here, Holmes under center. Pumps his foot. He gets it to the outside. That is number 1, Damon Johnson. There with the carry. He's wrestled down in the backfield by number 31, Clayton Highsong. Clayton Highsong also had an older brother play for Western Boone for that conference championship team. As Kyle Highsong played safety. He was also a very key contributor to that conference title in 2015. And looking at the sectional outlook, the Stars could face, they could either have Speedway or Tipton. Tipton, of course, is on top of that one. They faced Tipton in the second round last season. Right here, Holmes. And alone in the backfield, they send Cash in motion. They're going to throw to him on the outside, and he scoops up the ball, and he is pummeled down. And coming up with the football right there.
Number 80, Jason Baker,
Jason
the cornerback to the outside.
Jason Baker has a lot of confidence. He's one of the most confident guys on the football team. I remember in practice, he would always be wanting to cover the best receiver in practice. That shows a lot of heart and a lot of determination to do, especially on this team. He always wants to be the guy that covers the number 1 receiver, and he always likes to talk a lot of smack.
A little bit of smack talk can always be healthy, Kollin.
Yeah, sure can. It can create competition. It also creates fire. It really brings out true character for a person. You can either be a level-headed person or easily get under the skin. And right here, the snap and the throw downfield, and this one is picked off. That's a pick by number 84, Austin Bowman. Good coverage for Bowman. He picked it off. And on the pass, Javante Wilkins was the intended receiver.
This Washington team's not able to get it done against this JV defense for Western Boone. 84, the sophomore there, comes up with a pick near midfield at about the 48-yard line.
Well, unfortunately, another drive stalls for Washington. George Washington has just had a lot of trouble handling the second unit of Western Boone. They did very good defensively in stopping them, but offensively, they are not able to get anything going. Here's Young. He pumps, fires the sideline. That one's complete. And Corey Lamb was there to make the tackle. Number 85, Connor Garrity with the reception. Garrity also had an older brother that played for Western Boone. I know we keep mentioning a lot of older brothers. His nickname was Cowboy back when he played for Western Boone. Not sure why they nicknamed him Cowboy.
Yeah, that was Tom Garrity. He now coaches with the junior high team, I believe.
He's a assistant coach for the 8th grade. Is he your assistant coach or a head coach? I'm not sure which. Spent a lot of time around the younger generation of Weebo football. I just got word he's an assistant coach. Right here, Young with the snap and the handoff to Robbie Taylor. Robbie Taylor, the truck of this Western Boone second unit offense. Marching his way forward to bring up a 3rd down.
Looking at some of the varsity stats for Robbie Taylor, he comes in the year with 27 rushes, 214 yards, an average of 7.9 yards per carry, and 2 touchdowns here when the JV gets thrown into the game.
Tipton leading 41-6 at halftime, so I think you're playing Tipton.
And we just got where we might be facing Tipton next week. They're up big at halftime.
41-6 is his score.
Yeah.
So that game, if these two teams do end up winning, Western Boone and Tipton, the game will be held at Western Boone here this next week. We do plan on covering that here on WBTV Sports.
And right
That's
here,
Taylor up the
Robbie
middle.
Taylor with a nice carry for the first down yardage. Robbie Taylor yet again with another big run.
Yeah, as I mentioned, he's averaging 8 yards a carry for his varsity career, so he's definitely able to pound the rock here for the second unit, as you mentioned earlier. Western Boone now is in Washington's side of the field here. 35-yard line about.
And right here in the pistol formation, Young pumps, fires down the middle, and this one's incomplete, intended for Casey Baird. Mitch Miller was also in the area.
For Casey Baird.
Well, just a little overthrow there by Elliott Young. Fortunately, wasn't able to find his receiver down the field. And that's going to bring Western Boone's offense off the field, and it's going to bring George Washington's on. That's actually the end of the quarter. So, 43-0 score here over George Washington. Western Boone leading big in the first round of sectional play. Looking at some of the stats here. Going again with a scoring recap. The kickoff return by Cruz Washington to start it off. Then Cruz Washington again with another touchdown from 8 yards out. The extra point after was good after the first one was missed. And then yet again, Cruz Washington from 2 yards out, touchdown by him. Extra point was good. Then the Continentals gave up 2 points off the safety on a punt. Western Boone, 5-yard touchdown run by Dylan Brown. Elliott Young's kick was good. And then Spencer Wright with his only touchdown pass of the night from 34 yards out to Logan Benson hauled it in for his 4th touchdown of the season. And then Dylan Brown ran in another touchdown from 1 yard out. So right now the scoring cap, looking at total offensive numbers, Western Boone with 298 total yards, George Washington with -29. Western Boone has run 37 plays compared to George Washington 20. They're averaging 8.1 yards per play. That's Western Boone versus Washington's -1.5.
Back here in the game, you've got number 34, Young, with the snap. Hands it up to Taylor, who trucks right up the middle for a big gain. Still going, moving his feet.
Right there, Robbie Taylor, nice carry for him. Big run, and the clock is going to keep rolling.
7-yard run.
It's a 7-yard run from Robbie Taylor.
With 2 minutes left in the third quarter, right now Triton Central's up 14 to Milan's 10 points.
Looking at the numbers here again for George Washington, -9 passing yards and -20 rushing yards for them. Defensively, 4 turnovers for George Washington. And snap, the keeper by Elliott Young, who slips and he falls. His knee touches the ground. He goes down.
Looks like the runner's knee was down in the backfield.
And he's going to lose about a few yards on the play. It's going to bring up 4th down.
That's going to bring up 4th down for the loss of 2. It's going to be 4th and 5 from the 30. 4th and 5, ball spotted at the 30.
Delta up 14-7 on Lebanon.
And getting another scoring update, Delta is up 14-7 over Lebanon. It's a good matchup there in the first round of sectionals for the Western Boone rivals. 4th down and 6. Right at the 30-yard line. Pistol formation. Young takes a snap. He's going to play action. Pumps, fires down the sideline. It's incomplete, intended for Connor Garrity.
Connor Garrity is incomplete.
And that's a turnover on down. So once again, the second unit of the Western Boone offense go back to the sideline, and the defense will come back out. They got an interception earlier by Austin Bowman. Picked it off. That was the 4th turnover of the night committed by the George Washington offense.
Just under now 10 minutes left in the game. Score stands, as you can see, 43-0.
We just got word that a running clock will be in effect for the remainder of the game. And it's certainly becoming a very chilly night. It's getting a little bit colder here as things wear down. Right here, Holmes with a snap. And in the backfield, a big loss on the play. The fumble is picked up and returned by Garrity. And did he get it? They're going to mark him down at the 1-yard line. Connor Garrity flew in there, scooped up the football, and ran all the way back down to the 1. The 5th turnover of the night by George Washington's offense.
Colin, that catch earlier from Garrity that he dropped would have been enough for a first down. He makes up for it here, bringing the ball down to the 1-yard line.
Well, certainly good for Garrity right there to redeem himself after dropping that pass. He gets Western Boone in good scoring position, and we may see another touchdown here from this second unit. And it's always good for the young guys to get some sectional action. The playoffs are a very important time for each team. You either win or you go home. Young under center with Taylor in the backfield.
Heavy set on the right side.
Taylor takes
right
it.
at the right side with the touchdown.
And that's going to be a touchdown.
Good touchdown run from Robbie Taylor. So that's 3 different running backs for Western Boone tonight that have scored touchdowns all the way down to the 3rd string.
Yeah, you had number 35, Jaden Bailey, who took the motion to the right side that set up a heavy set on the right side of the line, which is right where they took number 41, Taylor, for the touchdown. This team will be going for 2, it appears.
I mean, they could use it. They could use Elliott Young to set up the kick, but it doesn't look like they're going to go for that. So they're going to go back to that heavy formation with the right side of the line being the heavy side. Baird is out there. Bailey goes in motion again, and this ball
Huge tackle in the backfield.
is going to be dropped in the backfield. Young was chopped down just before he could toss the ball, and the extra point attempt is no good. So Western Boone leads 49-0 over George Washington.
So after the touchdown, following the fumble
Take a look at the
recovery,
replay here, Colin.
0.
As we mentioned, you had heavy set on the right side, number 35, Bailey, to the left of your screen, moves in motion, and this is actually the 2-point conversion.
And Taylor is a tough runner. We've seen him play multiple times on the JV squad, and he always is just a truck out there. He's a man amongst boys. He's a tough runner, not afraid of contact. He gets a lot of yards per carry, and he gets it done on the ground.
Yeah, coming into the game, he had 8 yards a carry, which is phenomenal for a running back, and I'm sure he's built on that tonight. He's had a lot of big gains. This Western Boone team is set back to kick the ball. It appears we'll have number 52, Dominique Mitchell, sorry for interrupting you, is about to kick the ball off.
There's Dom Mitchell. He's got it set up at the 40-yard line. Mitchell, of course, he's called for a penalty earlier in the season of being an ineligible receiver downfield. Caught a touchdown pass from Blake Culley, the injured starting JV quarterback. Got injured in a JV game, I believe it was last week. And right here, this one goes down, and it's returnable. Here on the left side, it's returned by number 12 and up and ended by number 6.
Brought down at the 23-yard line.
Down to the 23-yard line, so George Washington will take over the 23.
Coming up on the 23-yard line.
And it's first down.
Right now, number 6 is stepping off the field. We both hope he's all right. He's on his own power, so it does appear to be minor. He's going to now be checked out by the training staff.
Well, apart from the action going on, we'd like to give a big special thanks to Smith Tees, Thompson Lawn Mowing, Trace Barker and family, George Washington, of course, Scott Hicks, and Andy Hoskins for giving us scoring updates from around the area. Also, thanks to Western Boone administration for allowing us to do the broadcast. Right here on the end around, he's got a big wide open hole, shakes a tackle, spins off a defender, gets the first down, and he's finally brought down by Austin Bowman. Number 32 with a carry right there, Corey Lamb.
Lamb just provided Washington with their biggest gain so far of tonight.
And an official timeout will be taken as Austin Bowman, the man who made the tackle, went down hard. He's going to go to the sideline to be checked out by the training staff. And here comes the offense of George Washington, their biggest play of the night. Holmes under center, Cash in motion, and that's a handoff up the middle and stacked up at the scrum of the line of scrimmage. Number 32 was there to make the tackle. That's Josh Benson. Number 32 was on the carry, too. That's Corey Lamb.
Yeah, Lamb was the guy who had that pitch to the left side the play before. Right now, Washington will be set up with a second down and about 10.
And just under 4 minutes to go here in the fourth quarter. Western Boone pretty much has this one all locked up, ready to move on to the second round of sectionals here in Sectional 38. Western Boone's sectional history hasn't been the brightest. They won sectionals last season for the first time since 2001, and a nice run right here. Shaking a tackle, number 39, that's Taven Taylor. Actually, 39 is J.Q. Peters.
Gets 5 yards on the play.
J.Q. Peters with a nice run right there. Gained about 5 yards. It'll be third down and 5. But anyway, talking about some of the history of Western Boone sectional, they won sectionals last season for the first time since 2001, and they went on to regional and were defeated by Cecina. And Cecina was a very tough football team, and certainly another tough football team this season. They came in high in the rankings in the class of 2A. Western Boone will certainly have their hands full with Cecina if they do manage to get back there and face them. And J.Q. Peters on the carry again, being dragged down from behind by a Western Boone defender. Going in the backfield, Andrew Kopic right there to make the tackle. It'll be fourth down and 5, no gain on the play.
This running clock has dropped down to 2 minutes and 45 seconds left here in the fourth quarter. 3 timeouts left for both teams.
Well, I'm sure both teams would like to get out of here quickly. The wind is picking up, and certainly the temperature is dropping. It's getting very cold outside, and especially in here in the press box where we are. All right, fourth down and 5.
Kollin, you know, if it's cold in the press box, it's got to be freezing outside.
No kidding. All right, here we go. Fourth down and 5 for George Washington. Holmes under center. Cash in motion. Toss to the outside for him. And he gets a few blockers ahead across the 50-yard line, inside the 45, in between the 45 and the 40. He picks up the first down to keep George Washington's offensive possession alive. In Triton Central, we got a score update from Andy Hoskins, 21-10 in the fourth quarter. Triton Central up over Milan. And just under a minute 40 to go here in the game.
My tracking, even if they score, they'll still finish at minus 10 yards on the game.
And we just got word that even if George Washington scores, it'll still be at negative 10 yards of total offense for the game. Here's Holmes. It's a man in motion. That's Lamb. And right there, a pass falls incomplete, bouncing off the ground to his receiver, Corey Lamb. And it's going to bring up second down and 10.
That was also number 10, Javante Wilkins, in the senior and on the in the area.
So far, Western Boone's defense had pretty good coverage in the passing game, but as far as the run game go, they haven't been able to cover the outside runs. J.Q. Peters has had some good runs to the outside for a couple first downs. So far, it's just been a problem, but Western Boone's been able to stop them pretty well. And right here, second and 10 off the incomplete pass. Pistol formation here.
30 seconds left.
Throws into the backwards pass. It's going to be a throw, and he's upended in the backfield by Andrew Kopic, number 62. Western Boone back there with number 10. That's Reese Durbin, who was a JV quarterback his freshman year.
15 seconds remaining in the game. That'll likely bring the game to an end here. The score is 49-0. Western Boone moves on to the next round of sectional play.
And yes, that is going to bring an end to George Washington's season. Final score 49-0. Western Boone will move on to the second round of sectionals in what is most likely a rematch between Western Boone and Tipton. And Western Boone will host Tipton next week at home. And we're going to look at some of the final stats here. Nathaniel, go ahead, take it away.
So far tonight, here at the end of the game, Western Boone has called 43 total plays, 31 for George Washington. Total yards for Western Boone at 273, and negative yardage here was George Washington's total. 155 yards passing on Western Boone's side, -2 for George Washington, with 118 yards passing for Western Boone and some more negative yardage for George Washington. Turnovers in the margin, +4 Western Boone. They had no turnovers committed compared to the 4 for George Washington.
George Washington actually had 5 turnovers. The scoop fumble by Connor Garrity was the 5th turnover of the game.
Yeah, that'd be 4 fumbles and 1 interception. The interception by number 84, Bowman. Nice play.
Yeah, well, is that all, Nathaniel?
Yeah, that wraps it up here.
All right, well, that certainly wraps it up. And also, we're going to talk about an interesting story here. There's an interesting and insightful article in the Indy Star a while back about how the Western Boone football team used the song Country Roads by John Denver to unite around football. This prompted school janitor Davey Calvert to write a Facebook letter praising the football team. In the letter, Calvert talks about how the players for Western Boone always thank him for washing their jerseys and how they're always cleaning up after themselves so he doesn't have to. Head coach Justin Pelly said he learned his values from his father, Denny Pelly, who spent 39 years coaching at Mooresville and Speedway and is now in the Indiana High School Football Hall of Fame after finishing 9th all-time in wins with 290. Denny taught his son that you should put family first and to make sure you think of those people who are responsible for you being able to play football. These are the values that Pelly instills in his team, much like his father did. Later in the article, Calvert details an event in which he heard all the boys in the locker room singing Country Roads, Take Me Home. Throughout the season, after every win, the boys gather up and sing the 1971 hit by John Denver all the way through. Why? We don't know. But Calvert says that the boys certainly have something figured out that most adults never do, and he may be right. And tonight, I know that Country Roads, Take Me Home will be really just played loudly throughout the locker room, and especially probably on the bus as the boys go back.
Definitely, this is going to be a very exciting locker room right now. Western Boone moving on to the next round of sectionals. Huge win for this team as they move on 10-0 on the season.
And that'll be it for tonight's broadcast. Once again, I'm Kollin Brunes bringing you the action alongside Nathaniel Finch, and for that, we say goodnight from George Washington High School.